We are live, people. Since I've gained so many subs in the last few days, I decided to do a live stream on this channel. I have a second channel that we do live streams. It will be in the description. Please go and check it out as we argue and fight with each other all the time. It's fucking amazing. Nicholas, how you doing? So I am supposed to have a co-host of mine, I guess we'll call her. She is somebody beautiful berserker. She is on my live stream channel almost every time. Let me invite her real quick, guys. And we will get to all the stupidity in the world right now. I've been paying attention a lot to mainstream media, and I'm actually surprised, which I guess I shouldn't be, how they're covering this. Very rarely, if any times, have I heard them say Antifa. It's always counter protesters, which I guess technically they are, but I mean, come on, really? Hammer, beautiful in white, Alfred, exploring with Larry. What's going on, buddy? And so, Cyberfunk. Oh my goodness, we're getting a bunch of people in here. Welcome, people. But I've literally seen a newscast from CNN where they were talking about the protest in Seattle and how the alt-right were, they didn't have video of it, but the alt-right were over here doing a protest, and these cops are sitting here stopping the counter protesters, these good people. And while they are saying this, a guy is walking in front of the police back and forth with an Antifa flag, and not one goddamn time did they say, what's that flag? Who are those people? They know who they are, but Jesus Christ, could you at least acknowledge that they're there? And then, of course, Antifa started to spray the cops with that silly string, which I have personally seen that shit go up in flames. It's very flammable. All you got to do is throw a match at some of it, and the whole goddamn thing would have burst into flames. But since we're waiting for beautiful berserker, let's do a little synopsis of what's going on right now, or how this kind of started. And this is with Richard Spencer decided to have a get together at a statue, a monument, a Confederate monument, as the Virginia wanted to take it down. He didn't like that, so he was just going to have some people come and talk. Hey guys, let's not take this down because white pride. Now, my thoughts on Richard Spencer is that he is a more of a troll than a racist, but he's definitely somebody who thinks the white race is superior to other races, except for Asians on intelligence and Jews on intelligence. But he wanted to have this little get together. He went and did the proper paperwork, and the Virginia mayor came in and said, no, I don't like you guys. I'm not going to let you do it. Well, they took it to federal court. The federal court said, yeah, you got to let them do it. This is free speech, dipshit. Don't you? You're a fucking governor. Don't you know the goddamn rules? Well, apparently he doesn't care about the rules because he still sent the cops in there and pushed Spencer and his people out of the park to a waiting Antifa and Black Lives Matter counter rally, which they did have, or protest, which they did have paperwork for.
Oh, no, the counter-protesters didn't have paperwork.
The mayor had to have known that this was going to start some shit. Had to.
Cynics, can you hear me?
I think he did it on purpose so shit would get started.
Damn it, not again.
This whole scenario that we have now would happen. Now, as I look at it, I see it, this dipshit. Let's get his name. I keep on just calling him dipshit. Terry McCullough? I think that's his name. Sorry, Berserker. I had it on mute again like a dummy. But I believe that guy I mean, you can't prosecute him for having that lady that got killed by the uh, racist asshole who decided to drive into a crowd. But he should be held responsible for that. If it wasn't for him kicking these people's out, kicking the alt-right out, that 20-year-old guy who I think was so fucking frustrated with the situation, I'm sure Antifa was throwing some shit at him, wouldn't have reacted the way he did. So the blood's on his fucking hands as far as I'm concerned. If he would have just allowed the rally to happen, none of this would have fucking happened. They would have had their rally. They would have said, go Whitey. They would have maybe marched the streets a little bit and everybody would have gone fucking home. Berserker, you're annoyingly loud. What's going on?
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. I want to get muted the goddamn computer like an idiot.
I forgot to turn off my mic or my camera. I hope my sticker sufficed.
I think.
Anyways,
okay. You're good. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. The counter protesters didn't have a permit.
Yes, they did.
No, they didn't.
Look into it. I am
really
92% sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they had two actually. A local guy and a guy from like Ohio got one.
Oh, son of a bitch.
I'm sorry.
Yep. So, let's see here. I made notes.
Oh, good. I was going to, but I got lazy and didn't.
Yeah, so did you hear the Hillary Clinton campaign manager, her old campaign manager, likened Antifa to the D-Day?
Is that where that
soldiers
from?
Oh, yep.
Yeah, I seen other people talking about it. I didn't know that's where they fucking got it from. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's insane. Yeah, the normal people out there, they have no idea who Antifa is.
Right.
I still don't get it. It's frustrating.
Well, like I said, I was watching CNN and they literally had a guy waving an Antifa flag in front of the cops and nobody said, hey, what's that flag?
They probably just associated it with like a Nazi flag or something. Regular folk.
No. Oh, you mean, yeah, regular folk. Okay.
I'm sorry, the chat distracted me.
Yeah,
I'm looking away from
me
it now.
too. I gotta quit looking at it. Hey, Granny Monster, I just want to say hi to her. She's awesome. Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah. So commies have infiltrated our country. And they have the support. They have the support of the media and some elected officials. That's pretty concerning.
That's another thing. I have yet to see any CNN, MSNBC, even Fox News. Man, I could be wrong about that one, but show pictures of these assholes walking around with the communist symbols, like masks with the communist symbols on them.
Yeah, or the signs that say "kill white people" or "destroy the state."
Did you see the? Was it Mississippi's? Somebody, a politician in Mississippi or Missouri or somewhere, talk about assassinating Trump?
Yes. In fact, on Twitter, "assassinate Trump" was trending for a long time. Twitter didn't find that hate speech, I guess.
Twitter is another virtue. I think this country is turning into virtue signals.
Well, I think it's more dangerous than that now. They're allowed to like threaten our president, like outwardly, and like all the comedians, like on Comedy Central and SNL, are pushing this narrative that Trump is like going to, is going to be the next Hitler. Like all the whole Charlottesville thing that they've covered, they're all pushing that we have to stop Trump, and they're getting the people all riled up, believing this false narrative. So it's more than virtue signal. Like there's nefarious intentions going on.
Absolutely. There's definitely a large group sector of people that are looking at this as an opportunity to say fuck Trump, just because Trump didn't come out and say fuck Nazis, fuck KKK, fuck whoever they wanted to say fuck off to. But he said, hey, fuck all these people. They're all being assholes. Could we all quit being assholes here?
Well, yeah, but also in the media, I do believe they as well have this communistic agenda. And that's why they're harboring Antifa. They're helping them with, with how they're presenting the narrative. I mean, even like for 2 years now, Antifa's been like, they shut down Milo, they shut down Ann Coulter, just regular Republicans, like from speaking or rallying. And they're called protesters, not, like you said, not Antifa. They know what they're doing, these journalists. They know what they're doing. They have an agenda.
Are you suggesting
it's the Red Scare? It's back.
Are you suggesting the mainstream media wants America to become a communist country?
Yeah, I do. I believe that the people that are running the mainstream media absolutely do.
Wow. Okay, I'm not going to go that far. I think they're just using this as an opportunity to try to get their guy in what, for 2 years or whatever, 3 years.
Put the back.
Yeah, well, think about this.
Please watch her.
Oh. Cynics will be right back.
Okay, I'm sorry. My kid came in.
Yeah. No, there's an absolute agenda going on. And it's very threatening. All Americans should be super, worried about this. So they are controlling, the mass media. We're talking like all the cable shows, but they're also controlling things like YouTube, Twitter, Google, and now they're starting to shut down free speech, for instance, on YouTube. Like we all are aware of like the skeptics and everyone else, that are possibly facing being shut down. And by and large, right now, they're focusing on the extreme alt-right. But that is going to carry over into like regular Republicans. They're pushing this narrative that Trump is Hitler, Trump is a Nazi, and all of his supporters all are Nazis. So right now, like, okay, for instance, because of mass harassment, GoDaddy cut the Daily Stormer from, they're no longer hosting that site anymore.
Well, as a business person and looking at that, I completely understand why GoDaddy would do that.
Okay, but the problem is that like now they can control the narrative. So like you see how that could be dangerous, right?
Oh, of course.
Now, obviously, like, okay, so with the Daily Stormer, like that's like an extreme website, but
it's a racist website.
Well, you have to notice to them. Well, like I said, so the thing is with the Daily Stormer is most of it's satire. People don't get that.
Right. And I can understand that. But if people understand that other people don't get satire, you can't be mad when they look at you as a racist.
Yeah. Well, the point is, though, is that to the far left, to the media, everybody that's Republican, conservative, and white that aren't self-flagellating whites are white supremacists or racists. So even though today it's the Daily Stormer, it's the obvious candidates, tomorrow it's going to be the regular, like, conservatives.
Yeah, I can see where you're going with that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I...
well, for instance, okay, so Gab. Gab was like one of the only platforms for people that have extreme views to go to, right? Well, Google just cut them from their Google app, for their Android app. So you can no longer download Gab through Google Store. They're in control of all these really important companies and corporations, and they are demanding the narrative their way. And of course, they're going to start with, the obvious suspects, but they're coming after all of us that don't fit their Marxist agenda, their narrative, which would include like the crazy SJW stuff and mansplaining and you know what I mean? We've
Yeah.
all been paying attention, right? Everyone here.
Well, me, you, the people in the chat right now, especially Final Print. Shout out to him. He's a great YouTuber. Go check him out. We understand this. We see this. Now, we both understand that the majority don't see this. So what would have to happen for the majority of the population to understand what's going on? Because they're not watching YouTube. They're not watching us to get the info.
Yeah, that's the problem. I'm not sure because the majority of people are still stuck watching basic TV, and they are controlling the narrative of basic TV. And I mean, you could look into it and see who owns these companies. There are very few people that own all of these sources. So it's not crazy at all to think that they all have the same agenda, which is Karl Marxism. It's communism. The Red Scare. It never went away.
I saw a protest it was in Seattle at the guy who started the communist movement. There's a statue in Seattle there of him.
Oh yeah.
Why the fuck is there that? Yeah, right? Why is there a fucking statue there of him?
I don't know. That's crazy.
Now, Antifa, this was a point this was a point I found very interesting. Antifa, or maybe no, it wasn't Antifa. I'm sorry. There's been people that have said, well, we got why are these statues still here? Because you don't have the losers statue still on your property. We don't have Japanese warriors statues on America's soil. And somebody brought up the point, well, if that's the point you want to make up, then these Native American statues, why don't we get rid of them? They're losers. Yeah, exactly. The Egyptian pyramids, well, that's a sign of slavery. I think we got to take those down. How far do we go with this, people?
Well, and it's the thing of like illustrating important events in our history. This is our history. This the Civil War, the Confederate, and the other side got us to where we are today. So, and then not only that, but there's something to honoring your enemies. And then when you consider those down south, that was their dude, that was their guy. You know what I mean? So they have pride for that.
Well, it wasn't everybody's guy. There's a lot of people that probably weren't very happy with these people.
Back in the day?
Yeah, back in the day.
Well,
I'm sure there's some slaves that were like, these guys are kind of jerks.
Yeah, but there were a lot that actually fought for the Confederacy.
Because they were going to get their freedom.
Maybe. Who really knows? But there were black slave owners that fought for it.
Absolutely, that's true.
Because it was about state rights. It was it wasn't just like mass slavery. The Democrats the North continued, I believe, to have slavery even after.
Yeah, I think
that's why they call it Northern aggression. There was all kinds of going on that caused that.
I think it's very sad to see that very few people can separate slavery from the Civil War and understand that there's a lot more to that fucking war than just stupid slavery.
Oh yeah, yeah. And so as far as like statues illustrating, say what you want about Robert E. Lee, like he was a great man in the sense that he accomplished things. Yeah. Like he did great battles. Like there's nothing wrong with with celebrating that part of our history. The South, they're a part of us too, and you know what I mean?
Well, I don't have a dog in this fight. I really don't. I don't give a shit if they take the monuments down. It's not really a big deal to me. I'm not a Confederate. I'm not from the South. I don't understand it. Maybe they could teach me or something, but the idea that a lot of these people are like Black Lives Matter wants to attack these people because they're white. That's where I kind of got a problem with it.
Well, and it's true, and it's not just happening to our Confederate statues. In London, they thought that the literature was too white, and so they wanted like less Shakespeare and more. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I did hear that.
And just like Trump said, after Robert E. Lee, it's going to be like Lincoln, and you know what I mean? And they're actually pushing for that now, and it is an anti-white agenda.
Hold on, I gotta say this. This is fucking hilarious. The final print says we should rewrite history to make Lee into a Hispanic trans midget with a club foot.
That's extremely triggering.
That's why I love the final print. That dude is awesome. Anyways, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, it's all it's erasing our history. When an invading nation comes in, one of the first things they do is they destroy the monuments. They want to take away their history. Your history, in a way, like ties a people together and gives them purpose. And so this is like a Cold War in a way, and they're slowly taking away our history.
Now, if they go after Washington and Lincoln, like I have heard some of them say they should tear those down, I will agree with you. As of right now, I think it's more morons that can't see that there was more to the Civil War than just this slavery thing, and they have this. We have nothing to fight right now. We're bored, so we're just fighting stupid shit to fight.
No.
No. Great counter argument. No.
Boom. End of discussion. No. Okay. So, I mean, the blacks kind of went through some shit in their past year in America. You kind of probably understand why they might hold a grudge. You know what I mean? They want America in their image.
No, I don't see how black people today have a grudge.
Well, when I say black people, I'm not talking about like all black people, but there are like people in the BLM.
No, even them, I don't understand why they would have a grudge. Of course, their life fucking amazing.
No, but yeah, like it makes no sense. Like, I mean, affirmative action lifts them up above the host nation. You know what I mean? But they do.
I understand that these people, I think, this is how I think about a lot of these SJWs, a lot of people that are starting fights for no reason, that they read history. They saw people like, I like to take feminism for an example, where people can be able to look back not that long ago and see how women were kind of shitted on, and that these women came up and they fought and they got, their rights and all this shit. And the people today, women today that call themselves feminazis or feminists, I'm sorry, they see that fight and they want to be a part of it, and they don't realize that fight's over. It's done with. So they just regurgitate talking points from 40 years ago, and for some reason people actually listen to these dumbasses.
Well, that's because
this might be a mental illness at this point.
Well, there's a lot of really dumb people.
Yes.
But then also you have to understand that a lot of this has been indoctrinated from early age on TV, cartoons, TV shows, and in schools. And especially in college, these kids are being told this. They're being told that the white man is still oppressing them. The ever-looming white supremacist nation they live under. And, I mean, if you look into it and you see a lot of these professors, there's something that ties them together. That's all I'll say. There's a common thread throughout this whole thing.
But hasn't colleges been like that for decades?
No, pushing this idea of the ever-looming white supremacist man that's going to,
right, maybe not the white supremacist man, but they've always had something similar to this.
No. Schools, especially universities before, they were, prestigious places. You'd go there and you got higher education. And it wasn't about social justice. It was about, building your,
You've had communist supporters that are
they weren't in control. Yeah, but they're in control now.
I don't know. Colorado University had some jackasses that had a lot of power.
Yeah, when?
90s, maybe late 90s is when I remember.
Yeah, like since the 60s, I think, is when it really, you got all those hippies that grew up and they went into these
since
fields.
The 70s, cyberpunk things. I'll agree with 70s. Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah.
They went into the fields of teaching?
Mm-hmm. And others, journalism especially.
Journalism, yeah, that's a big one. So what do we do? How do we fight this? Do we see now? My kids can go to a college. I mean, let's just say my kids were 18. They go to college and they hear this "fuck whitey." My kids would tell the professor to shut the fuck up and leave because I would teach them because I teach them that. How come the parents aren't teaching kids that anymore?
Well, I think a lot of parents are tuned out and they just trust,
Looking at their
the
iPhone too
schools.
much.
Yeah, and they trust the establishment. You know what I mean? Also, you have to understand, like you have to kind of in some way play ball if you want to get a degree. I mean, you don't want to piss off your teacher, if you don't have to. And a lot of these kids, they don't have a group, leadership to show them that's not exactly how it is.
And you think the alt-right is a solution for that?
They're one. Identity Europa is another. And they're actually very active in the universities. They go to these white, like they have seminars at these universities about the whites' oppression or, the problem with whiteness. And these kids go in there and they peacefully protest these seminars. So, I mean, that's the only thing we could do is tell people about this and try to make some kind of impact to get the majority of people to see it. Real fast, I wanted to point out, I don't know if you talked about this before I got here. So this whole Charlottesville fiasco, did you talk about how, or I don't know, have you even looked into the way they set up that park and that meeting?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so the way they set it up is they cornered off almost all the areas of the park, and I think there was only 2 entry points, making it to where all the alt-righters had to go through the crowd of the gathered Antifa, and then useful idiots, I'll call them. And then when they were peacefully there waiting for the rally to start in that little pen until the city came down there and went against the permit and said, we declare this an unlawful assembly. They pushed them out into that one exit point, making them go through the crowd of angry Antifa. Now, the angry Antifa, I've been following them on Twitter and their hashtags, and they have been planning for this event for months, talking about bash the fash, punch a Nazi. And so they went down there with weapons to do this. They went down there. Okay, this is a little, expletive, excuse me, but they throw their pee and their poo at these people. That's what they regularly do. You're a psychopath if you do that. I'm sorry. Whoa. Yeah. They maced them. I'm not sure when it comes to Baked Alaska if it was regular bear mace or if it was actual acid.
Yeah, I don't like how that's turning out. I think Alaska's kind of bullshitting us, but anyways.
It could be. He's a bit of a showman.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Well, the thing is, though, it's like Gavin McInnes said, how long until they actually do bring acid? I mean, these fuckers hate us. And in their narrative, they have to destroy us.
Nobody has been shot or anything yet.
Yeah. So anyways, these Antifa, I've been watching them, and they've been planning for months. They've been orchestrating. They've been crowdfunding to get down there to bash the fash, right? Now, many people, I'm sure, have seen the alt-right with weapons, or not weapons, but clubs with their flags, and they have weapons. Well, not weapons,
no,
like
call
clubs.
It like it is. That's weapons.
But it's different. It's different. Here's why.
I know it's different.
Okay, now they're wearing helmets. Why were they wearing helmets?
I'm glad you're bringing this up because I was going to say something. And the sad part is, I've seen many newscasters talk about how Antifa, look, they showed up ready for war. Yeah, why did they show up ready for
exactly?
War?
Yeah.
Did you see Berkeley?
And Berkeley, all the other, even the Trump rallies before the election, we knew that they're violent and they've been planning for this. So they had to go in there to protect themselves. That's why they had those gay little shields, because they knew that bricks were going to be thrown at them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They went down there, and I've been following the alt-right hashtags. None of the alt-right was bash the commies. No, it was a celebration. And also, if the Antifa tries something, we're ready for them. And we knew they were going to try something. Now, here's the interesting thing. They want to talk about KKK. It's always KKK, right? And everyone's like, hey, the KKK isn't relevant today. And they're not. And here's a perfect point that illustrates this. The KKK had a rally in July. This was a well-known rally that happened. The police went down there and protected them. Antifa did not give one crap they were there. There was no problems. No one was like, let's bash the KKK. It was specifically...
In California, they did. I remember 3 occasions that they whooped the shit
in
out of them.
July.
Oh no, I don't know when it was.
Yeah.
It was within this year though.
Okay, well, this July event, it got like no news coverage, and these were legitimate KKK dressed
Right.
up and everything else. So if the KKK showed up to this rally to also protest the taking down of the Robert E. Lee statue, the alt-right can't help who shows up there. And you know there were neo-Nazis that showed up there. And I just want to point out for everyone listening, Anglin, the guy that actually writes for the Daily Stormer, and like I said, I believe the Daily Stormer is mainly satire, he actually sent out a PSA to everybody that none of that stuff is tolerated. No one is to show up in any kind of neo-Nazi symbolism. They were to wear khakis and polo shirts. It was supposed to be a peaceful rally to unite the right.
And people will say that he was just covering his base.
No, they do not want that aesthetic because obviously look what happened.
Oh, I believe that.
Yeah.
I think he's smart enough to understand that these people are going to really fucking hurt our cause, or not my cause, but their cause.
Yeah. So I mean, the whole fact that the KKK can actually get together and no one cares shows just how irrelevant the KKK really are.
Absolutely. And I find it funny how every time they talk about, well, they had neo-Nazis there and KKK members there, and they show a picture, and it's the same damn picture over and over again because they only have one goddamn picture.
Oh, no. What's really funny is a lot of these news sources actually used a picture taken from the KKK rally in July that went off swimmingly.
Did they?
And the police protected the KKK there.
Well,
so that's also a little weird.
Well, no, that's what they're supposed to do.
Well, but why didn't they protect the alt-right? Like, they were told to stand down. Oh, wait a minute. And in Berkeley, do you remember in Berkeley, there's video of the cop. They asked them, and no alt-righters were there. These were alt-light Republicans. I think they're to see Milo or I don't know who. There's video of them asking the cops, like, why aren't you stepping in? People are getting really hurt. And they said, you have to ask the higher-ups. Yeah. They were told in Berkeley to stand down. And there's reports saying that here in Charlottesville, the charlatans were also told to stand down.
The cops, actually, the Charlatan police force has come out and said that Antifa is the one that started all the shit.
They did.
Which I was surprised that they came out and said that. I think it's the governor. Am I wrong about that? The governor,
I'm not sure,
wanted this to, or the mayor, whoever it was, wanted this shit to happen.
They did.
I don't know why,
yeah.
But he wanted this shit to happen.
Well, I know why.
Why?
Because they are extra paranoid of the ever-looming white supremacist that, the next Hitler that's going to rise up. You can't be pro-white in this country anymore because they hate white. You can't be proud of being white. If you're proud of being white, you are a Nazi.
So how do you get, because I think that's fucked up, because it's okay to be proud to be black, proud to be Mexican, proud, whatever. How do you say that you're proud to be white without saying those words? Without
saying I'm proud to be white?
Without having like white pride, because the words white pride is what gets everybody going, because you got to understand that for many years white pride meant KKK, Nazi, fuck all color people.
Did it though? I mean,
okay, maybe it didn't, but as far as I've learned, yes. Maybe I was taught wrong, but yeah.
See, okay, so before all this social justice, people were just proud to be like white Americans. We'd go sailing around.
Americans.
No, the founding fathers were proud to be white Americans. You know what I mean? And they understood the English. They were, and being English back in that time meant also being white. They were proud of that. The Chinese are proud to be Chinese. Oh, very proud to be Chinese.
Well, like I've said to you many times, nobody cares when you say I'm proud to be Irish.
Yeah, but the problem is that in America we are white. That's what we are. That's our title. That's what we mark on all the government. We mark on all the, but we're not when we're targeted. We're targeted as white. We're separated by white.
Yes. Well, yeah, that's the government's fault. The government fucking did that.
Well, and the narrative in the media, white males, the oppression, they're oppressive. They're the cause of violence. You know what I mean?
I don't think most people take that narrative. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
It affects our the laws and stuff that get made. I mean, you look at the difference between how women are prosecuted in the courts versus how men are prosecuted in the courts. That's heavily set in our moral fiber now.
Well, that's because men look at women weaker, so they can't. You know, the women couldn't have been as bad. Okay, she tried to kill him, but you know, she really couldn't. So let's not give her too much of a penalty.
Yeah, no, women can be just as dangerous with a gun
Oh,
or a car.
absolutely.
Oh, but that reminds me, speaking of cars, did you happen to see the let me see here. Wolf Blitzer on the news wondered, okay, this whole Barcelona thing, the new, the terrorist attack that
Oh,
happened.
Jesus. Yes.
He wondered if it was tied to the to the alt right,
Was he
and he,
wondering, or was he just straight out saying that they
it,
looked at the alt right and said, "Hey, they used a car. I think we should use a car too."
well, yeah, no, I guess it's, I don't know. I read the article, and in one of the articles it said even though there was political differences, they used the same killing device, and I don't know why that sounded so retarded to me. The same killing device, like this is the first time it's ever happened where terrorists has used a car to, kill a bunch of people.
Well, they should have done it the other way around because London had, what do they call it, the Muslim of Peace bus or whatever. That should have been going on for the last year and a half.
Well, just notice the hypocrisy. For the last many years, we've all been under the threat of Muslim terrorism. And they've used cars a lot. The van of peace in Germany, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They've been using vans and cars, and for whatever reason, they refuse to see the trends. So one time, one guy in this whole chaotic mess in Charlottesville runs over one person. And I just want to add, I don't know what this man's intent was. It looks malicious to me. But if his intent was to harm a bunch of people, I believe he would have driven up on the sidewalk. So I don't think he just and I know for sure, I can bank on the fact that I don't think it was premeditated. I don't think he thought that morning I'm going to get in a car and I'm going to run over a bunch of people. I think he probably got, beat up. He probably maybe got maced and he got pissed and he rammed into the whole, whatever. I don't know. But anyways,
yeah, very possible.
They do not see trends when it comes to the Muslims. But you get one effing instance of a white nationalist doing it, and now they're trying to tie this to the Muslims. Wait a minute, you know what I mean? They've been doing this a lot longer and way more prevalent than we have.
Well, they're being opportunistic, and I hate that. Yeah, and I hate when people.
It's nefarious. It's nefarious. It's not like a monkey shine. This is this is dangerous.
All right.
It's just like when the concert, Ariana Grande concert, got blown up, all the feminists were trying to tie it to all men. The problem, the problem with violent men in society, we really need to deal with violent men. And it's like, no, you injected in your society this culture that doesn't have the same values that you do, and that's why you have a rise in rapes and other violence.
Yeah, I think almost most of America sees people like feminists that will say shit like that as just retarded fucks.
I don't. I think there's an even divide with the college kids.
Okay, maybe you can convince me of that, but they're kids and they'll grow out of that. The problem we're having, though, as I said, most people will look at them as crazy fucks. The crazy fucks are getting in fucking power at Google. I mean, the main lady is a fucking feminist. She calls herself a fucking feminist, and now everybody's shit's getting demonetized.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that and that's what makes them dangerous. They are in control.
So how
it's
do we
like that guy at Google, that actually just had that, what was it, a memo of just basic they're biology
manifesto.
Is it a manifesto now?
That's what they're calling it. I'm like, wait a minute, isn't that when people murder somebody? It's not, but that's what you think of when you hear that.
Yeah, or it's this long crazy rant that goes on for many pages of just nonsense.
And I have to say, I hate fucking memes at this point in my life, because now every time I see memo, I call it a memo, like a fucking retard. What does that say about you, cynics? So, can we get rid of the lady at Google? I mean, will there be a point where the rest of society goes, okay,
I don't know. This is
okay,
really
this is just too nuts?
this is scary. They control the internet. These extreme leftists have a stranglehold on the internet. Literally, if you have a different opinion than them, you can't go on the internet. You can't be on Facebook. You can't be on Twitter. I mean, that's coming. Like maybe it's not so right
It's not
now,
here
but it's
yet.
coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like we're at the crust of it. So I mean, I don't know. As a capitalist, like I hate this, but I do feel like we need to break up that monopoly, like we did with the phones.
Yeah, there's a lot of people making that point that Google is the internet at this point.
Yeah.
And I'm a time person. I think within, you give enough time, shit will settle itself out. And at this point right now, most of the people don't go on the internet. Most people watch the local news or don't even fucking pay attention at all. And within the next 30 years or so, the internet will totally destroy the cable company, and you will have to go on the internet in order to get your information. And that will bring more people to, like, I don't know if YouTube will still be here. Hopefully VidMe will take over. But hopefully they will get the information they need and things will start changing back to center.
Yeah, hopefully. There's an agenda, though. So, I mean, all these people are tied to one click, if you get my meaning. And it's not going to be easy. Like, people have to, I mean, I think that's the next step, is to break up the monopoly. Sign into law, whatever you have to.
Well, I'm not even sure what that would do.
Which sucks, because I wanted to focus on immigration, but, this is a bit more pressing of a matter.
It's for now. Like I said, Americans were bored. We don't have anything really to do, so we pick shit out like this and we'll talk about this for a few months. And I mean, if you didn't notice, there was another terrorist attack over in Spain, I believe, where didn't they run over people and shoot them? I think they were shooting this time.
Yeah, I don't think it's that people are bored. I think there is an agenda. I mean, we've lived in
certain people have.
Yeah. So they're forcing our hand in this. Young white men are grown up believing that they're the bane. That's all that's evil, and they have to, give up their seat to people, supposedly less privileged than them. And
look what's happened because of that. The alt-right is actually coming up. We're having this conversation.
Well, and it's terrible, because all the alt-right has absolutely no power. And they go against us so hard, but all they really are is an advocacy group for white people.
Well,
every other people group have their advocacy groups.
I think now the alt-right has a sympathizer in the White House, though.
Possibly. I mean, I just think that Trump's a very balanced man. So I don't think he even really knows about the alt-right.
Oh, he knows.
Well, because he asked the reporter to define what the alt-right was. I don't know. I hope. I have dreams.
His
maybe Bannon. Yeah,
exactly.
But Bannon might. Oh, well, okay. Actually, the Bannon has come out and condemned the alt-right.
What?
Because you have to understand, during the campaign, the alt-right, the whole title was confused. You had the alt-light with the alt-right back then, and the alt-light are just civic nationalists.
Well, it's still confusing.
No, it's pretty set. Even Gavin did a video.
Well, Oh, okay. Gavin did it. So, okay. Conversation over, guys.
He's the authority, I'm telling you.
Well, it was called uniting the alt-right, because they even understand there's a lot of different factions. I mean, you had that dipshit who ran over people.
And I believe that's more of not like bringing them under the umbrella of the term alt-right, but hey, let's get together because we have a common enemy.
Right.
Stop punching right. Let's get together, work together to, because, the alt-right might have their ambitions to preserve our people, a future for white children and all that. But we have a long way to get there, and there's threats that are more imminent that we have to deal with, like the commies, the damn commies.
Well, right. We're at the starting line, Berserker.
Mm-hmm.
We're, I mean, realize that, people. We're at the start of this, so there's a long fucking road to go. And I'm always right. So take this for what you want. Uh, by the time we're at the end of the road, most of this shit will be figured out, and it'll go back to more normal. It might be years down the line, but it will.
I think it's going to get a lot worse. I'm seeing like civil war in, in the very near future. The left
No.
the left is hardcore doubling down on what they want this country to look like. And the right, is still kind of being stupid about it. They don't realize it, and a lot of them still are too much of pushovers, giving up too much ground. But that's going to come to an end.
I was
And
surprised.
this next election, I mean, no, there's some stuff that's going to go down in the next couple years. I see it.
I forgot what I was going to say. Yeah, but you're right. This next election will kind of give me more of a view on what's going on.
Yeah, well, I mean, this last one was crazy enough too, with all the idea of like
Trump won.
Russian hackers and
right, but Trump won. How crazy is it that this billionaire who got into the race, I believe he got in the race just to be like, hey, I'm in the fucking president race. Hey, everybody, look at me. I can make get more popular this way.
Do you?
And he fucking won. Yeah.
No, I think he's been. I think he's been planning it for years. You can see old videos of him on like talk shows. He's been planning it for years. I'm telling you, and his goofy persona that he has out there, I think is part of it. It plays into it.
I think he's a very genius.
Yeah, no, I believe he is. Yeah. I don't know. We've got a lot of question marks for the future, because it's not just like anti-white, but it's also anti-American sentiment that's, that the journalists and the people in the media are pushing for, and the politicians.
And that's why, this is why I think most of the country understands what's going. Well, maybe not most of the country, but at least people that vote understand what's going on, because Trump did win, and it's because of all the rhetoric that they've been hearing from CNN. Not even so much CNN. Well, yeah, it is CNN, but they bring on these crazy ass leftists that will talk about how horrible white people are racist because they're white. End of story. You're born like that. You will always be like that. There's nothing that you can do because you're evil cave people.
That's And
most of the country say, "Fuck you."
It's the original sin. It's their cult and their ideology. Yeah, it's like I said. The alt-right really is just a white advocacy group where being dispossessed in many different arenas, and we aren't even allowed to have our own advocacy group. If you Google Mexican advocacy groups, they have tons, and they're spoken about on Google in like such a positive way. You Google African American, it's the same. They have tons. But if you Google white advocacy groups and you get like American Renaissance, the alt-right, they're just labeled hate groups. Even though they don't like the American Renaissance doesn't participate in any kind of hate.
Well, don't the other groups have more of a support system, if you want to call that, because they are a minority? And most people look at, white people are the majority, so why would you need a support group? Not saying they're right. I'm just saying that's how they would look at it.
Well, I mean, yeah, but why still would we not be allowed our own advocacy groups?
Especially it's not that you're not allowed it. You can have it.
But
you're just
in the moral fabric, we're not allowed. And we're just deemed neo-Nazis. Well, after this whole thing in Charlottesville, and the news is like going hard against anybody in the alt-right, a ton of kids are scared now, because there's like FBI investigation, and there are kids that were participating in that rally peacefully that got doxxed by the Antifa, and parents have actually disowned these kids. So no, you're not allowed. I mean, this comes with severe penalties. People get doxxed, and they get fired from their jobs. They get threatened at their homes. For instance, during the Charlottesville thing, I don't know if you know about Red Ice Radio.
Here and there.
It's a huge alt-right podcast. They were hacked, and not just their Twitter, but their website. And those doxers from the Antifa actually said, we're going to, all of the people that patroned you, we're going to find out who they are. We're going to dox them. They released on Twitter, Henrik, his ID and his social security card. So you're not allowed, white people. You are not allowed an advocacy group.
No, I don't like.
They will bury you into the ground.
Right. I don't like the word you're not allowed, because you are allowed. You're just going to have a lot of problems. And if you really believe what you're doing, then those problems shouldn't matter to you.
Well, no, if your whole livelihood and your whole future and even your physical safety is threatened, you're not allowed. Because you have these severe threats that you're going to have to face.
It's not illegal, is it? Do you get put in jail for it?
No, but you could get attacked at your home. Yes. Your family gets attacked. I mean, Richard Spencer's mom was doxxed by Laura Loomer.
Right, I know. And
this old woman. Yeah. These threats are almost even worse than like if you got like a penalty from the government that you had to pay, or even jail time. You could deal with jail time, but this will mark you into your career. You won't be able to get a job. Anyone can Google your name and it'll pop up.
Has any people from like Black Lives Matter had this problem?
Not from what I've heard, because the right doesn't normally use those tactics. The Antifa use those tactics. Yeah.
Did you see the Black Lives Matter guy? Okay, I won't call him Black Lives Matter because he's black, so maybe he was part of Antifa, who got beat up in the parking lot, got his ass kicked, had like 6 or 7 staples in his head to close it up, broke his wrist.
Yes.
Like, there's shit out of him. Now he got $150,000 as of right now, or as of yesterday. He had $150,000 donated to him, and today I see pictures of him walking around with a baseball bat trying to kick some ass, and he just got his ass kicked. He started the shit and got his ass kicked.
Yeah, there's video of him starting it. They went down there because they were going to bash the fash, and then they cry victim when it didn't work out for them, Yeah,
this is where I'm having the big problem, because I don't know if the people that are listening now, I am not an alt-right person. I'm more of a, hey, let's all get along person. Berserker is obviously more of an alt-right person. We do podcasts every Friday and Saturday nights, mostly. And we disagree.
We yell at each other.
We do. We agree.
It's fun.
We agree with some things. We disagree with other things. But this is the problem I have, and I have to defend the alt-right at this point because people aren't being honest. And when we have news organizations that won't be honest to the people, then, I'm the greatest person alive, so I have to be the one that comes out. Unfortunately, nobody fucking listens to me, so.
Well, no, and it's like, okay, now after this event, if you're alt-right, that you are automatically a neo-Nazi. I mean, they want to label the alt-right as a terrorist organization now. And like I said, just to go back to the fact that you are not allowed to have an advocacy group if you're white. The ADL, which is, if you look them up, it's for the fair treatment of Jews and then everybody else. They specifically list Jews first. They make lists of people in our group, like hit lists basically, but lists saying that these are the hateful people that need to be, looked after, watched after. And people take the ADL seriously.
Is it BLM and Antifa on the list too?
Are they?
I don't know. I just threw that out.
But hold on a minute. The alt-right is nowhere near the equivalency of the BLM or Antifa.
Absolutely.
The alt-right they do not go out there and riot. Oh my God, we hate lawlessness.
Absolutely.
That's why they went there with khakis and polos, the gayest outfit you can imagine. They want to be. They want to be
torches.
Upright, tiki torches. They want to be upright citizens. We need an advocacy group, especially as we're becoming a minority. As young kids are being taught that we are inherently evil and racist. You look at South Africa and the genocide of white farmers in South Africa. They're going to use the same narrative they did in South Africa for killing all those white people here in America. They said in South Africa there was apartheid. They're going to say here there was slavery. It's very dangerous, possibly the future that we're looking at. We need advocacy groups. But the powers that be are going hard against us to shut us down, even at the infancy of this thing.
So is it? I don't want to say scrap the alt right and start a new organization, because the biggest problem I have with alt right is that they're not publicly throwing these KKK, whatever you want to call them, people out on their ass. And I think that's something you got to do. I mean, it's too late at this point, but there
I
was a
think that
time that
after
if you would
this,
have done that publicly, I think that would have helped a lot.
yeah. Well, you have to understand. So in the alt right, there are a lot of people that revision what happened in World War II, and they believe that it wasn't the narrative that we're told. That it was actually, for the German people, and by and large, if you look into it honestly, and you're not triggered by, things that don't fit the narrative you were brought up with. I mean, the leader, I don't know, can I say his name? Because I don't want the algorithms to pick it up and give you a strike. But,
I don't care.
Okay. Hitler did a lot of good things for his people. Unfortunately, he did a lot of bad things to other peoples. But these kids spin it in, no, we were lied to about that. And so they've embraced a big portion in the alt-right have embraced National Socialism as it's there to protect us. So when they're claiming to be Nazis, they're in their minds, they're not saying it was good to gas the Jews or whatever, even though a lot of people make memes and jokes about that, but that's just to be edgy or whatever.
Right, but that really hurts your fucking cause.
It does. Oh, it does. And I think after the Charlottesville thing, people are going to go hard against that and try to kick that out of the movement. Because honestly, National Socialism would never ever be able to, come about in America.
Right.
I don't want that.
So how come, and I know you don't, I mean, you used to be the spokeswoman, but now you're not. How come alt-right people aren't pressuring more white people in their group to go and be teachers and, be media people? Or maybe they are, but I never hear that.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, look, the people in the alt-right are normal people. They're accountants, they're engineers, they're a random dude that you could run into at Starbucks. And, I'm sure kids are going to go into these places. I don't know. What was the question?
I don't know.
Sorry.
Oh, why aren't more pressure of making alt-right people into the teachers and to counteract the craziness?
Well, okay, but the thing with the teacher, in that institution is that you will not be allowed in there unless you teach their narrative.
Oh, no.
And it's the same problem that creationists have.
No.
They're not allowed in.
You get a degree and be able to go teach in a high school history. You can
You have to be hired.
Yes, you can be. It's not hard to be hired. And when you talk to the students, that's when you go, hey, Hitler was an asshole in this case, but this is what he did.
No, there's heavy, I'm sure it's different at different schools, but especially in the colleges, there's heavy influence towards this direction.
Yeah, college is different. That's why I said high school.
Yeah.
I understand college is more of a liberal thing.
And I think that might be more of a waste of time. I think people in the alt-right should focus more on journalism and content creating, funny cartoons, comedy shows. Those are the things I think that'll reach people, like Murdoch.
Yeah.
Or Sam Hyde and what he does. And that is how the alt-right has grown to what it was, is because of these funny, intelligent people that make these funny memes that point out hypocrisies in our society and whatnot.
Right, but you got these intelligent people that understand that they're doing satire, and you have a moron that's reading it and doesn't really understand it's satire. I don't want to call them morons because they're kids, but
no, some of these memes
they're impressionable, so they might start regurgitating some of these memes as more factual than ha-has.
Well, okay, well, there's different kinds of memes. So there's the extreme memes, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about memes that point out the hypocrisy of the left and the right, or the hypocrisy of anti-white hate, or showing how Japan can remain ethnically Japanese, Israel can govern their borders how they want, but all white countries are subjected to just opening up their borders to just anybody. And the countries that don't, like Hungary or Poland, are like, you know, threatened with sanctions and stuff. And once you learn that, that's hard to unlearn. And so like even though like a teacher might spend years trying to like to fill kids' heads with all this knowledge, that meme just bam can change a mind in an instant.
With that said, we have been on here for an hour. I don't want this to go too long. I would like people to actually try to watch it. You want to continue conversation on the other channel?
Yeah.
All right, guys. I left the link to the other channel in the description, I believe. I hope. Yes, I did. If you guys would like to jump over there, we will continue the conversation. Over there, we will allow people in the comment section to come in. Don't be too much of a jackass.
Oh, and if you hate me and the things I say, please come over and debate me.
We have 2 dislikes. I'm sure they ran away at this point.
Aw.
I know. But all right, Jessica, I'll see you over at the other Cynics 2, and we need a new name for that, guys. Think of it and let us know.
Bye, everyone.